Hi there, thank you very much for joining us on PACRA Insights. My name is Brian Mwale. On this episode, I'm joined by PACRA's manager copyright, Kenneth Musamvu, as we talk about intellectual property and what's the whole idea behind intellectual property. Kenneth, thank you very much for joining us. We're delighted that you could find time to be on this program.
Thank you, Brian, for inviting me to be here. So glad.
First things first, what is intellectual property?
Intellectual property refers to the creations of the mind. When we talk of intellectual property, we refer to things that are conceived in the mind and then actualized. So intellectual property has got two branches. We have industrial property on one branch, which we talk about patents, trademarks, industrial designs, and the whole chain of industrial property rights. Whereas on the other hand, we have got copyright and related rights. So this constitutes intellectual property, the creation of the mind, the human mind.
What is the importance of intellectual property in one's life or business?
Intellectual property is very important to businesses, to people, because without intellectual property, anybody can just come and copy your work, off they go and start competing. But when you have got intellectual property, you are protected against such people who infringe on other people's rights. I'll give an example. If I've written an assignment, I've labored so much, carrying out research and doing all sorts of things to express that assignment, I should be protected. Unlike a situation where another person just comes and they just remove my name and put theirs, they submit. It's not good, because the person who invested time, effort, they lose out. So it's the same with business. When businesses are not protected through intellectual property, you'd find that people will be easy to copy other people's works. For instance, today I've come up with maybe a software that makes life easy for daily life. That software, or me, I deserve to be protected by making sure that that software is protected under the branch of intellectual property we call copyright. Because if it's protected, it means that it prevents or gives me that exclusivity to exploit that work. Unlike if it's just open-ended, anybody can come, they copy, off they go and start producing.
One of the key mandates of PACRA, among others, from registration of businesses, also maybe registration of insolvency practitioners and so on and so forth, is the registration of intellectual property rights. And you are in charge of one specific area of intellectual property rights at PACRA, which is copyright.
Yes.
Let's delve a little bit further into what copyright is.
Thank you very much. Copyright, we can say, or in simple terms, it's a bundle of legal rights that are given to authors and creators of literary and artistic works. So, it's a mouthful, but generally there are two rights that are granted to authors. So you will be given the economic right as well as the moral rights. So I'll explain those in details later on. So copyright basically gives you those rights so that you are the exclusive beneficiary of the work that you have come up with. I mentioned the economic rights. So under economic rights, a person who has come up, like for you, Brian, if you have written a book, I see you want to enroll into a program. You have written a book. So copyright will give you the right of reproduction. You'll be the only one to reproduce whatever book that you have written. You'll be the only one to translate. You'll be the only one to communicate to the public. So those are a number of rights that are granted to the author. If you are given those and another person comes to exploit, you have got the right to sue them, and they can pay you, compensate you because of that infringement. On the other aspect, we have the moral rights. So the moral rights, I can give an example. Maybe you're working for a university. You have written a book whilst working for the university. The university has got that moral obligation to name you as the author of this work. For instance, today I've written an assignment, or maybe our colleagues work in the media. You find in the newspapers, you have written an assignment and then they just put staff reporter. Yes, that is the policy of the institution, but moral rights I am supposed to be given, to be named as the author of that work.
More like recognizing that you are the original author.
Yes, that's how it's supposed to be. So under copyright, it's also the same way. There is no way you can have maybe a poem, I've written a poem, and everywhere it's being recited, but no mention whatsoever to say this one was done by A, B, C. So moral rights will grant you that right to say you are protected, so that everybody must recognize you as the author. Also, aside from that recognition, you also have got the right to object to any derogatory mutilation of that work. Imagine you have produced a gospel song and then we change the lyrics to something that will paint you in bad light. How would you feel?
Okay, so now let's point out specific areas of the art sector, if I may put it that way, or of life and business, where we have beneficiaries of copyrights. I know that maybe it could be music, it could be developers of softwares, and so on and so forth. Let's point out specific areas like this grouping, that grouping, and that grouping can actually benefit from the copyright.
Let me first of all start with the music. You know, with music, their rights, so you see musicians' rights are being exploited without them receiving any remuneration. So you'd find that a place, maybe they hire out that place for weddings and the likes, they play all sorts of music. There is no remuneration going to the musician. Under such circumstances, you find that they are infringing the artists for as long as your work is being played. Take, for instance, a radio station. A radio station, the playlist that they have, they're supposed to pay for that copyright because that is, you know, the number of the economic rights I mentioned, we have got public performance. So an artist, whenever your work is played for public, to the public, you have got, you need to be compensated.
But can't one argue that the CDs or the music was brought to me by the same musician, so that's why I'm playing it?
No. Actually, here in Zambia, there's this misconception where artists, or rather the people that are the DJs, would think as if they are doing a favor to the artists. On the contrary, it's supposed to be the other way around. No radio station can exist without music. Anywhere. Music is one of the vital components of, you know, that's content. You go to these stations, they'll tell you we pay for electricity, we pay for water, we pay salaries and the likes. But when it comes to content, someone wants to, you know, play it smart. It's supposed to be paid for. Maybe we also pick another category, which is in the learning institutions. In learning institutions, there's a lot of photocopying that is taking place. A lot of photocopying, let me just call it reproduction, because if you scan, that is a reproduction, you transmit, that is a reproduction and everything. So all that is taking place. And then you find that the person that has written that work, nothing is coming out to them. The people that are running the copy machines are the ones earning from the work of others. In the long run, what will it do to the people that are writing books? They will simply put their pens down because they're not getting anything.
Okay, if somebody wants to register for copyright, what's the procedure with PACRA?
Thank you. The procedure for copyright registration with PACRA is quite simple. There's a form. You just go to our website where you find the form. You fill in that form. We prefer that it's typed because you know, our handwritings differ. So to avoid the back and forth, you type it, download. Then you attach the work. When I say work, it means the product that you want to register. You attach it, and there's a fee of 500 kwacha. We also require that if it's an individual, you give us a copy of your NRC. And within 5 working days, we should be able to give you a certificate if it meets the standard.
Are the rights that come with copyright, do they last until eternity? There's a limited number of periods.
There is a limited number. So with copyright, the law here in Zambia is that copyright will subsist for the life of the creator, and then 50 years after the author has passed on. So meaning if I died today, you start counting 50 years. After it's 50 years, then my work comes into public domain. Anybody can access it.
So as we wrap up on this interview, Kenneth, what's your words to people that are involved in the publication of artistic works and production of artistic works, insofar as issues of copyright registration is concerned?
Thank you. My word of advice is that we need to take copyright very seriously. It doesn't matter what you do. Maybe I give an example of a picture, a photograph. Yeah, all that falls under copyright. Registration will give you that evidence to say this is your work. I know copyright, according to the law, is automatic, but evidence, documentary evidence, is very important. Imagine having a plot without title deeds. It's the same with copyright. You have come up with this, you need to register so that you are given that certificate to show that you are the right holder for that work.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. I think we'll call upon you again. There's still a lot more that needs to be discussed on copyright.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for joining us on PACRA Insights. Until we meet again, thank you very much. My name is Brian.
PACRA, business that's here.